Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. I'm clearly starting to lose my voice, so please bear with me during this update. So looking at what happened last week in Halton Hills, sales are starting to pick up. In total, we had 13 sales across all the markets, which is our highest week since the start of October. So that is promising news for the sellers out there. So looking at Georgetown, we had 8 sales in Georgetown. That's a normal week for Georgetown. So it's good to see things are picking up a little bit. Still not crazy high, but 8 sales is definitely not telling us that the market is dead right now. We had 7 new listings, so listings did not keep up with sales. So that's interesting. We've been watching to see if all those properties that we're gonna relist have entered the market. We're seeing the odd one trickle in, but it's not a huge influx. So we are not seeing inventory skyrocket right now. And with buyer demand starting to pick up, the market is definitely going to, I think, swing back in favor of the sellers if we keep seeing these numbers week to week. Looking at Acton this week, there was 4 sales, which is another huge week for Acton. They've had 9 sales in the last 2 weeks. That is a lot of sales for Acton. Again, they have lower price point stuff available, so a lot of people are going there because you can get like detached under 800,000. But 4 sales for Acton is a really good week. There was only 3 new listings in Acton, so again, inventory is just not keeping up. Glen Williams had no sales, but it did have 1 new listing, which was actually a relist from one of the properties that terminated last year. So there's one of the ones that, kind of re-entered that market. Limehouse had no sales and no new listings, and the rural market had 1 sale and no new listings, which is interesting. We've been seeing a lot of new stuff for months coming up in the rural market, but nothing came up last week. So, and the other thing to note, 6 of the 13 properties that sold in Halton Hills were over $1 million. So almost half of the properties were in our higher ticket price points, which is really a shift and a change. So this really could be a week that we look back on and think like, okay, things really started to pick up by the end of January and things started to shift. And that's sort of the feeling we're seeing. We had 6 properties sell over $1 million. That is great news for the sellers in Halton Hills. The other thing we've been watching is properties terminating and coming off the market. Interestingly, this week we only had 7, which is our lowest week in so long. So only 7 properties kind of either came off, relisted, all that stuff. Of the 7, 2 of them relisted at the same price, and then 5 of them came off the market. So 5 people exited the market, haven't returned yet. The interesting thing is there was no price reductions this week, which is the first week in a long time. We've not seen anyone reduce their price, and 2 people coming on at the same price. So interesting to see, like those numbers are significantly down. Like 7 properties, when I search that criteria, is very low compared to what we were seeing. We were seeing weeks of like 20, 30 properties. So 7 is like, okay, the sellers right now are not adjusting their properties too much right now. So another interesting thing to be following and kind of paying attention to. So now looking at active inventory, all of Halton Hills is down from 112 to 108 active listings. That is a not high number compared to where we've come from, but it's not super, super low. Once we start to get under that 100 mark is when the markets start to feel really busy for sellers. So we're still kind of hovering of that cusp of the low 100s right now. So it will be interesting to see if we start to see sales pick up and inventory doesn't return, we could be in for a very busy market. So I'm warning the buyers now, like, all the properties that sold this week sold under asking price, so there's still negotiating room right now, but that will quickly shift if these numbers start to continue to trend through February and March. Georgetown this week is down from 58 to 55 active listings. That is not a lot of properties in Georgetown. So again, this all is like leading to a shift in the market where we are gonna see demand going up and prices going up if we can't get more inventory. It's just such a different conversation than we were having 3 months ago. Looking at our price points, under 800,000 is up from 11 to 13 active listings. There is a boatload of condo townhouses available right now in that pocket, and they keep coming up. But the interesting thing is, like, are those people the ones that are buying up the higher price point stuff and selling, out of their lower price point? So under 800,000, there's still a lot available, but it's mostly condo products. 800 to a million is down from 12 to 9 active listings. That is a super low number in that pocket. It's our busiest pocket. So I suspect that demand for things like the Delrex area bungalows are going to start to spike because we're down to only 9 listings in that really high demand pocket. 1 to 1.5 million is the same this week at 23 active listings. It's not super high. It's not low, but it's nice to see this week that products were moving. Quite a few houses sold in that pocket this week, but we're seeing stuff come up in that pocket too. But really interesting, the 1 to 1.5 million price point always sort of starts to pick up when our lower price points start to pick up. So we're seeing trends of that happening, and then we're starting to see the million plus start to sell. So all of this makes sense. It's just really a question mark of what's that going to look like in the next few months with inventory and where we sort of land with, you know, available products and where prices are going to go. So 1.5 million plus is down from 12 to 10 active listings this week. That is not a very high number for that pocket. We've been talking a long time how that price point is definitely inflated. There's a lot of products that are still holding on to the fact that their neighbors got $2 million, you know, 2 years ago, and they think their house is a $2 million subdivision house. That's just not the case right now. So interesting to watch that price point going down. It is, you know, there's some that are shifting into the 1.5 or the 1 to 1.5 million pocket, and then others exiting. It's just going to be interesting to watch as prices, if prices rebound, what happens with that higher ticket pocket if we start to see more sales and more listings come up. Looking at Acton this week, we're down from 19 to 18 active listings, so still sitting pretty high in Acton in comparison to when we are in a market that is, you know, hopping there for sellers. 18 listings is not super high, but it's not low, but there seems to be a lot of demand in Acton right now, so we're going to be watching what happens there. Glen Williams is up from 5 to 6 active listings, normal-ish number for the Glen. Limehouse remains at 0 listings, nothing available there. The rural market is down from 30 to 29 active listings, so sitting still pretty high in the rural market, but all of the stuff that's available there is expensive. You need to have that, I think it's 1.2, 1.3-ish that the rural market starts right now. So you need to have deeper pockets to be buying in the rural market, and we know those price points are not moving too rapidly. So we'll just see what happens with in-town inventory, because as always, when in-town inventory starts to soften, the rural market starts to pick up. So another trend we're going to be looking for. So overall, this is kind of exactly where I thought we were going to be landing coming into the end of January. There was a big question mark about those 100 plus properties that just exited the market. Are they going to flood right back in January? We have not seen that. As well, we have seen sales picking up. Like, again, this was the highest week we had since the start of October. And prior to that 1 week at the start of October, it was the end of July that we saw the same amount of sales. So we're not having super high sales weeks in general since like May and June. So this is a good thing for sellers, and this is sort of the buyer's notice here. Like, if this doesn't change and my market updates keep talking about inventory going down, you might have missed your window of a deal. There's still a couple deals I think on the market to be had right now, but that is going to flip if we do not see inventory rise. So I will be back next Tuesday to see what happens for the last week of January. Have a great week, everyone.